Hello, comrades. Welcome back to Jacob's Custom Gunworks. Today, I have a firearm that has played a rather significant role in not only my gunsmithing fondness, but probably my firearm collecting and the whole nine yards. This is a Springfield 1911 A1 on a Rock Island Armory 1911 A1 frame. And we'll get into why it is the way that it is here shortly, but for me, this was the first semi-automatic pistol I learned to shoot on was the 1911 platform, and specifically the 45 caliber, like we have here on the table. This gun actually didn't start its life out as a single stack gun; it was a double stack gun. So what happened was the individual that owned this prior to me owning it was a double stack Springfield 1911 A1 firearm, and the frame had taken some fairly significant damage, and I repaired it to the best of my abilities at the time when it came in, but where the damage had occurred was in a fairly significant area where I told the customer, hey, look, I've repaired it to the best of my abilities, but I do not, in all honesty, think this is something that we need to put back together and get to firing condition because it's a liability. And the customer agreed. So they kind of took all the parts back with them and throw them in a Ziploc bag, and it was like that for years. Well, here a couple years ago, they came back into the store I was working at and gave me the slide and all the parts and said, here, do something with this because it's just simply collecting dust, and I know you can do something with it. So I did. I did reach out to Springfield to see if I could get another frame for it, and unfortunately that was something that just wasn't going to happen. So I found a 1911 A1 frame, which I figured was fitting, and it happened to be this Rock Island one that you see here. And it actually turned out really, really well. The only thing I had to do with the frame to get this to fit with the slide was I had to grind, and not really grind, but sand in the back here on the rails is where the slide was catching up on the firearm, or on the frame. And about an hour and a half, 2 hours of sanding, and I did it all by hand instead of using my Dremel tool, just because of what this is. It fit beautifully, and the slide actually works really well now. It actually shoots really well too. However, one of the things that I've noticed, I'm going to go ahead and close this, it is cleared, just so you can see that there. One of the things I had to do was the barrel. The original barrel I had for this gun was, of course, the Springfield one, and it just would not work with this frame very well. And all of the measurements I had suggested that the ramp and everything on it was good. It was just as good as the single stack versions. Measurements all added up, but it wouldn't work with it. So I had this Wilson barrel laying around, and I threw it in there, and it works awesome now. I do have plus P springs in here, so these are 2 pounds over factory. And honestly, with the way this is set up, I probably don't need it. I kind of probably went with factory springs or factory pound springs, and they would have been just fine. But it does shoot pretty well. Sometimes, depending on if I have a really light load, it may short cycle, but everything else I have shot out of it works really, really well. And I do have a Wilson magazine here, an 8-rounder, which works well too. Like I say, a gun and a caliber that started my semi-automatic love for 45 ACP. It is my favorite handgun cartridge, and this is my favorite handgun platform for that cartridge. And yeah, I really, really enjoy it. The Packmeyer hybrid grips with the kind of the rubber here and then the wood, these just really make the gun look really, really just sexy. Extended controls here, so I have an extended slide release here, and then I do have an extended safety here, which works really, really well. So the rest of the frame, aside from the trigger, the slide release, and the safety, everything else is actually Rock Island Armory. I had a 38 Super that I got as a wedding gift from my wife years and years ago, and I, of course, did a Wilson Combat swap when I was learning about the 1911 frame. I swapped every piece on that gun except for the frame, the barrel, and the slide. Everything else was swapped, and so I had extra parts laying around, so this worked out really, really well in my favor, and it just... For me, it was just a really neat project to come across and to have the opportunity to go ahead and rebuild and bring this gun back to life. So it is my Frankenstein 1911 by all means, on a Springfield, slide, and then this Rock Island Armory frame. But it's just something really cool for me, and I thought I would share it with you guys today. I know I haven't posted a video in a while. I had some other personal things and that nature come up, but yeah. here's a really cool piece for you. And I do have some updates on the AKs, the PSA AKs, my PSA AK line. I will post that in another video here coming up. It may be a little bit because I had to order some parts, but yeah, we'll keep you posted. That's what I got for you today. Until next time, comrades.